What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So on this evening, I'm going to be giving you guys my review on I Want to Dance with Somebody. This is the biopic film concerning the legendary Miss Whitney Houston. And I know coming into this movie, a lot of people were saying, we've had enough stories about Whitney since she has passed. There's been a Lifetime movie, there's been a documentary, there's been quite a few things that have been publicized concerning Whitney's life and her death. And so I somewhat agree with what people were saying. I do feel like it was too much. I felt like that Lifetime movie wasn't necessary. Although I will give props to Yaya for playing Whitney Houston. She did do a marvelous job, as well as Deborah Cox singing the Whitney songs for that movie. I guess they couldn't get the actual recordings published or whatever the case may be. So. Um, I really did enjoy this movie. I thought this movie was really good. I thought the pacing was excellent. They covered Whitney's entire life for the most part, pretty much from the time that she was discovered until the time of her death. And so I thought it was excellent. So it was Naomi Ackie. She played Whitney Houston. I thought she did excellent. I thought every time that she talked, she sounded just like Whitney. Of course, they used Whitney's vocals in the actual movie itself, but she really, really stepped into being Whitney Houston. She sounded just like her. Her mannerisms were quite the same. I thought she did an excellent job. Also, Stanley Tucci or Tucci, he played Clive Davis. He looked a lot like Clive, a lot like a younger Clive. I thought he did. I thought he did an excellent job. Also, Nafessa Williams, she played Robin in this story, and of course, Robin is extremely important in this story. And for those of you guys who did watch this movie, you will see why. And of course, last but not least, Tooney. She played Cissy Houston, and of course, Cissy is Whitney's mother, and she really, really pushed Whitney to use her gift so that she could be a big, big, big star. And I really, really did love this. And so this story really begins with Whitney and Robin's love story, which I'm so happy that they delved into this the way that they did because they made it seem like Whitney and Robin were meant to be together. And, I find that because of certain circumstances that couldn't happen. And I love the fact that Robin did not give up on Whitney, that Robin, after Whitney told her that she could not be in a relationship with her, that she's going to be a star, and she can't be seen as someone who is a part of the LGBTQ plus community. Robin could have definitely left her where she stood, and Robin did not abandon her friend. And I love the fact that Robin stayed true to Whitney. Of course, some people will say, of course, Whitney's going to be a big star. Why would she leave when she can get all that access to anything that she wants? She gets all the money, any of the money that Whitney wants to give to her, or any of the perks of being a friend of a supernatural or a superstar on a national stage, or international stage rather, because Whitney was known worldwide. But I really loved the relationship between them two. And of course, Whitney's family knew about it. Whitney's father seemed to be the most weary about them. Of course, Whitney's father was her manager during a great amount of her career. I'm thinking probably her entire career until her father, eventually died. But the fact that they stayed true to their friendship was so amazing to me. Also, I have to address Mr. Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown was played by Ashton Sanders. Now, I have to get this out the way. Ashton Sanders is one of my favorite actors. He's in my favorite movie of all time, which is Moonlight. He plays the teenage Chiron in that movie. And so I was so excited that Ashton was going to be playing Bobby Brown, because typically we do not see Ashton in these roles where his character has a huge personality. He plays RZA in the Wu-Tang Clan biopic on Hulu, that American Story. So RZA is really kind of an even keeled, low tempered kind of guy. He's really not like a Bobby Brown type. So when you see Ashton playing Bobby, he's saying his lines, and he's in the movie, but Ashton really doesn't give me Bobby Brown. Like, I understand that Bobby isn't, the outlandish guy that's always in your face 100% of the time. Of course, behind closed doors, I'm sure he's more subdued. I'm sure he's more of himself. But he really never gave me Bobby Brown, which is, I'm not sure if that's more of his fault or if it's the fault of the writers or whatever the case may be, but I just was not getting Bobby Brown from Ashton's performance. I feel like he did a great job. I think he did the best that he could do as Bobby Brown, but I really don't think that the performance stuck. And of course, that's unfortunate. But it doesn't take away from the story. It doesn't take away from the greatness of the of the film, and I'm happy about that. They one of the criticisms that my mother had was that they really didn't focus on her drug use that much, and I will say they did not actually show any drugs until about halfway through the movie. I'm not sure exactly when Whitney started her drug use, but I'm assuming it was sometime before she really got famous. And there was a particular story that Bobby Brown had told that the first time he had seen Whitney actually doing drugs was on their wedding day. And I thought that they were actually going to show that, but they did not. There were other inconsistencies that I didn't necessarily care for in the movie when Whitney's father was in the hospital and he was about to die. They still had some contentions amongst one another because at that time, Whitney's father was actually suing her for over $100 million because he felt like he had done more for her than he was actually paid for. But Whitney came out in her Oprah interview and said that he was being influenced by people who were outside of the family, and he was very sickly at that time, and so he really wasn't aware of what he was doing. So of course, that would still hurt Whitney to her core to have your father suing you, but whatever the case may be, she said during that interview with Oprah that she patched things up with her father before he went on to be with the Lord. So I think that that is a great thing. And so overall, I felt like the movie was a great movie. I felt like the acting was incredible for the most part. Again, of course, I had that issue with Ashton Sanders playing Bobby Brown, but it is what it is. But of course, my favorite part of the movie was the love story between Whitney and Robin, and the fact that Robin stuck by Whitney's side no matter what. And I felt like the way that they characterized Whitney as this girl who's really not this glam girl, but she's a jeans and t-shirt type of girl with some sneakers. You know what I'm saying? And they really showed that, the fact that they tried to make her this pop princess, which she was a pop princess, but she was a down home girl. You know what I'm saying? She really wasn't the prissy type, and I think that's what worked between her and Bobby. I feel like Bobby brought out Whitney's originality. He really brought out her authenticity. He allowed her to be who she was, and I really think that that's what brought them together, is because they were so much alike, and I think that's why they worked so well. And who's to say how genuine their love for one another was? I believe that it was absolutely genuine. I really enjoyed the scene where Bobby proposed to Whitney in the limo, and then Whitney asked the driver to stop. And the reason why she asked the driver to stop is because Bobby admitted to her that he had gotten his ex-girlfriend pregnant. And I'm not sure if that's actually true to the story of him proposing to her, but it was a great scene. But anyways, overall it was great. It was great to see. My mother was saying that there was a little bit too much singing. They did have like at least 5 or 6 performances where they did almost the entire song. I think in some cases they did the first part, the first verse, the chorus, and then the bridge, and then they finished it on out. But it's a Whitney movie, and she was all about music, and so of course you're going to expect a lot of songs for a Whitney movie. But again, I think one of the best things about it was the pacing, the way that they got from the beginning of her career to her untimely death. Within that span. And another thing about Ashton playing Bobby Brown, Ashton looked very young in this movie. And I'm thinking back, Bobby was around his late 20s, early 30s when he first met Whitney. And Ashton really looks like a younger 20-year-old playing this grown man. And again, it really just none of Ashton's performance really connected with me. But again, that's not against anything against Ashton. I thought he did the best job that he possibly could. I just don't think the role was right for him. But you guys, let me know in the comments what you thought about this movie, the Whitney biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody, and I will see you guys later. Peace.